Jess. Looks like you're in, but that your audio is not connected just yet. So it usually takes it a second. Hello. Let's see. So I can see you, but it doesn't look like your audio is. Oh, okay. It says it's working on the audio. So, all right. I was like, so I don't know, even know if you can hear
Ah,
me when it's still connecting, but I can hear you now. So perfect.
I
How's
can hear it now. Hi.
it going?
Hello. It is good. Let
Good.
me see if I can do original musician sound on. Turn my volume up. I've got my headphones in, so maybe this will be better.
Oh, good.
How are you?
Doing good. How's your voice feeling?
I'm fine. I'm doing all right. I sang a little bit earlier today. My hair is still wet from the shower. Sorry.
Yeah.
Um,
No worries.
I I tried to send over the iReal Pro things and the links to then open them. And it worked when I sent them over to Bob like a week or so ago, whatever. But they wouldn't send to you. So I mean I
Oh,
don't know if it really matters. It's more so the fact that like I don't know. I'm usually like I'd like to think that I'm usually pretty good with my like hearing. I mean, that's kind of how I've learned to sing. So like I can pick it up really good. But I had asked him, or I didn't ask him. Let me see if I can pull this up. Bob, there we go. Um, Basically, we talked about we had been working on like a couple songs, and I had told him I was like, I don't know if maybe these are too difficult. I think maybe, I there was one of them where I'm like I was kind of like the ending of it was weird, and so it was funny because we had the same idea, and he kind of came over to me and basically was like, look, why don't we start with something really really simple? I think that I'm not guiding you in the right direction. And I'm like, I was thinking the same thing, not the second part, but but the part of being like, maybe I should do these songs first. It's more
sure.
like I had them down, but they were kind of like you had to kind of explain them a little bit too much for
Yeah.
the jam session.
Oh, sure.
Um,
Yeah.
so I'm doing really simple ones now. So I feel like that takes a lot of stress off.
Mhm.
Um, so I'm doing Fly Me to the Moon, and I'm doing Dream a Little Dream of Me. And so I went in and I started like I played around with him a little bit, and I sent him the speed and then the key, and he requested that one of them I change the key. And I
Okay.
was like, okay, that's fine. He wanted me to do Fly Me to the Moon in C. And when I sang with that, I was like, oh, that's really high. I'd rather not sing it that way because it was just like not high
Well,
in
what
tone. I
key
can do
were you
it.
originally wanting to do?
Oh, mm, that's a good question. Let me see if I can open this. Maybe it'll pull it up to the exact one. Okay. It looks like when I sent it to him, I was wanting to do 120 beats per minute and E flat major.
Oh,
Um, and then he
it's not
said,
that bad.
how about, well, he changed the one for Dream a Little Dream of Me to B flat. And I was like, that's fine.
Yeah.
And the Fly Me to the Moon in C, I was like, this is a little high. So then he said, let's see, might try taking it down just a half step to B flat, or you could do A flat or G. And
Uh-huh.
they're like, I
Yeah,
I
they
think
tend to
one
like
of those
flats
works
better.
if
I
I'm
think
not
B
mistaken.
flat might be good, especially for like horn players and stuff if they want to jam a little bit too. So B
That's the
flat
part that he
might
was thinking.
work.
I
B
think when I
flat
did
could work, but
um, B flat and A flat, if I'm not mistaken, I
mhm.
just can't match it. And I don't know if that's maybe because
Ah, used
I'm
to the
trying to
other
like
key.
match it with with all these like
Hmm.
three other keys that I've
Does
tried.
C feel like really high, or does it feel like it just like sits right on a transition? Um, Because B
let's
flat
see. It's
isn't that much lower than it either. But sometimes just
okay. Let
that
me pull it
small
up.
amount helps a lot.
You said, did you say which C or B flat?
So you said I thought that C felt a little high. So I'm just wondering like how high does it feel? Like a lot high or a little high? And what key did you say you're doing Dream a Little Dream of Me in?
Ah, um, he asked me to do it in B flat, and I
Okay.
think I don't I can't tell without clicking it and opening it and all that stuff, but I
Yeah.
think I was lower than that. So he was wanting me to go higher on both of them.
Mhm.
Where
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean that's totally fine. I just when I sing jazz, I usually favor the lower.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, even I mean, even
um,
B flat, I think is gonna feel, let me see. Uh,
for "Fly Me to the Moon."
yeah, I think it'll still feel just a little bit high. Uh, it'd be like a,
Can you hear that?
yeah, yeah, I'm just like checking the keys here.
Like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, I just don't want to do that. Like, I don't want my first
Yeah.
time singing at the Jazz Kitchen to be like, ah!
Yeah.
But I also I want to make sure I'm like, he gave me a couple options. I want to make sure that I'm
I
complimenting.
think B flat might feel fine. The highest note you'd have to go to would be a D then, which I think would be fine because you don't ever have to like transition all the way to head voice then.
I let me play it really quick. I don't. It might have been B flat. It might have been A flat. Both of them. It was like two out of the three that he gave
Well, A
me.
flat, the highest
The
note will be C, I think,
reason.
and B flat, the highest note will be D, I believe.
What about G? Because I think I sang G, and I maybe
The
that was the
highest
one
note
that I
would be a
liked.
B then. Like if you're wanting to stay in full chest voice. So I do know that they sometimes
But
try to stay in
yeah,
flat keys. So then like A flat's barely different than the key of G. So that might be the one then to go with if we're sticking with a flat key. So let me see for A flat.
it's just it's weird. I couldn't like I would like listen to it and I'd try to sing along, and I'm like, oh, I'm off key, and then I'd try to change,
Yeah, that
and it
you
was
get
like
used to it.
I couldn't find it, and that's I don't know. That's the first time that I've had that situation where I'm like, I
Yeah,
can't match it.
right. And it's probably just because you've heard it or practiced it so much that your voice wants to go somewhere else. Jupiter and Mars. So I think A flat could work. Let me look at B flat. I think B flat would be fine as well. Yeah, I mean, I think either would work, but I think you might like A flat better, would be my guess, because your highest note will be C then. Um, so for Fly Me to the Moon in A
You're
flat.
saying maybe not G, because he said G.
Oh, he said you could do G? Yeah, I just know sometimes they
Yeah.
try to stick with flat keys instead, and then A flat would be really similar. But let's check. So for G, B would be your highest. The lowest would be. What's the lowest note there? Jupiter and Mars. I'm gonna check that note there. Do Yeah, it's a G. I mean, I think that's fine. Yeah, you could do it in G.
Okay.
Yeah, and B
Um,
would be the highest. So it's the G below middle C up to the B above middle C, which I think would be a really comfortable jazzy range. So I think either G or A flat would probably feel comfortable. They're only a half
Okay.
step apart. They're like barely a difference. So either of those I think would feel comfortable. So if he says G's good, let's try it. It's only one sharp. They can get over it.
Yeah. The ending that they have on the iReal Pro,
Yeah.
you know, like the three, trail off or whatever.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel. It feels a little weird, but like I
Oh,
know that I'm singing along with it. There's like it goes almost like it feels like it goes down a little bit, and then I'm like, where do I sit on that? And so
yeah.
this is just one of the only. I know that I'm also not. I just want to say like I'm not. I guess using the correct terms.
Oh,
Um,
that's okay.
but this is the first time that it's been like,
If
here
it's
are
your
all these
first time
different
to the
keys,
jam
let's
session,
sing
they're
in
not
it. And
expecting
I'm
you to be
like,
perfect.
oh, yeah.
So,
I haven't told anybody about it.
oh,
So it's just gonna be my wife there, but you know.
yeah. Hey, that's all right. That first time, you're just dipping your toes in the water. All right. I did find the melody written out in G, so I don't have to like, flutter around try to find it. So it'll be "Fly me to the moon." All right, so you'll start on a G then. Um, so let's go ahead and just try. I'm gonna play it and just hum it and feel where it sits in your voice. Breathing in. Oh, sorry. I lost my spot. So it does go down to that F sharp, but I think that's fine. It's not till we get to like the E that it's like really a stretch. So up high again. Let's try the higher ending to the B. So yeah, does that all feel comfortable? Like even that low
Yeah,
F sharp?
yeah,
Yeah. Good.
yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, so I think G works. I also think that A flat would also be comfortable. So either of those I think are good. So I'm going to give you your first pitch and then let's try it with iReal Pro in G. So your first note is going to be the G. It might sound a little funky because the first chord they play is actually the E minor, though. So you're not hearing like a strong like G. And also I like to hear the D chord to the G to lead me in because that 5 chord kind of gives you a strong, instinct to get to it.
Oh,
And sometimes you're not hearing what you expected to hear as the lead in. So your first note's going to be "Fly me to the moon." All right, so we're going to start
okay.
there. So
Sorry, I
let's
got a
see.
little confused
Oh, it's
because
okay.
for a second I'm with you now, but I for a second I thought you were saying that like I've been starting right on the dot with it
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
because it doesn't like have an intro,
Having the lead in
and
might actually be helpful.
yeah, I don't know really how I'm not like I'm learning a lot
Yeah,
actually
yeah, yeah.
on how to work the iReal Pro. I don't really know how to do that, but I've seen
Yeah.
Bob do it. But
That
I'm
you're
sure
like,
that like,
I don't know how to start it somewhere else. Yeah. So if you go in to Fly Me to the Moon, I'll just show you on here. So we're going to pull up Fly Me to the Moon and wherever you want to start. So mine looks a little different because it has the piano chords pulled up. So if I want to, I'm going to do a 4-bar intro for this time. I'm just going to
oh,
click on that measure
you're just
and
starting it at the
hold
bottom.
down. Yeah,
Oh,
or you can do an 8-bar and you'll just click on that and you'll hold it down. You see how it pops up like
yeah. I didn't
that
know that.
and then you
I just
start
didn't know that
from
was the same
there.
thing.
So you just pick the
Okay.
measure you want to start from and you're going to just like click it and you'll hold down and then it's actually going to start it from a different measure then. So
Okay. I don't know if that would be more confusing because after we work on this, I really don't
yeah.
understand the ending. The ending kind of throws me off the way that it's
Yeah.
written or played on the iRoll Pro, and I'm like, so
What?
maybe just if I start from the beginning. I know.
Yeah.
I'm like, I just it just doesn't. I don't know. It sounds a little odd, but that's what
Yeah.
I'm trying to like figure
Well,
out.
if
So
you have a lead in it, sometimes it's easier to hear. So if you click and hold, it'll like light that up as a play button and then you just after you click and hold it, you're going to press it to start the track from that position. And then it counts in two, then you get to hear that whole lead in of 8 bars that I gave us.
oh, it
And
just
that
makes
helps you
the
get
the
into the
ending.
key. So then you can hear the fly me to the moon. You can hear like what key you're in and get settled into it. But yeah, not having any kind of lead in and like everything is ear, so you
Yeah.
just singing with
Yeah.
it is really really hard. So your first note though is a G. Fly. So if you want to start just to the top, go ahead and start it and just know that you're starting on G. Fly me to the moon. Go ahead and just try it knowing that starting note before you even begin.
Okay. Do you want me to play it on mine?
Yeah, go
Like
for it.
with the music on mine. Okay. Let's see if I can do that. Well, start. I'll just start it. I think let me just. Oh. Okay. Fly me to the moon and let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars. In other words, hold my hand. In other words, baby, kiss me.
So can you stop for a second? I don't know if it's
Feel
so can we check
I'm
that
on the
you're
wrong
in
one.
the
By the
right
way,
key
I'm on
on
the.
the iReel? Because it
I'm
sounds like
not.
you're
I know.
singing
I was
in
like,
G,
that's
but
so
it's not in
odd.
G. So if you go down to that bottom
I'm
corner,
singing in G flat. Yeah.
yeah, so click that
No,
and
I
make
got that.
sure.
I've got it on to G
Okay.
now.
And then you've got more like a bossa feel, right?
For
Like
this
a
one, I
Latin.
did say that I did tell him that we do bossa. Yeah, and I was
Yeah.
thinking, I was like, this is not fitting it. It was in B flat before. Sorry.
Yeah.
God,
Yours is a little bit
that
slower
sounds
than
pretty
mine's playing too. But
loud.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Fly me to the moon. Yeah, so I think it just sounded like it was in a different key and I was like, gosh, that's hard. So yeah. So it's in
I
G,
know.
yeah?
Yes, it's in G now.
Great, excellent. All right, so
I know.
let's
I
start
was
it
like
again.
thinking, I was like, this is not sounding good.
Fly.
Okay.
Yeah, you were like holding fast in G, but I was like, oh, that's tough. So yeah. Fly. We're gonna try again.
Okay. 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 G major, 120 beats. Cool. Okay. You can hear that. Fly me to the. What? Oh.
It's okay, try again.
Wait. Let me listen to it really quickly. Mm.
To the moon and let me play. Yep, that's in G.
That's wait, that's the
Do,
first.
do, 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 do.
This is what I've been dealing with. I'm sorry. I don't know
Yeah,
why
no.
I'm not getting
It's
it.
hard
And
too
it's
because
also really
you're not hearing the melody line.
frustrating.
You're just hearing the chords, and that's one of the tricky things about doing it with jazz is that you're not given
Yeah.
the melody. Um, And if you've been singing in another key, it just feels really funky because you're used to hearing like a lead in to help the vocal, and you're used to hearing, the melody being played, and they're not going to do that because they see it as kind of like rude or stepping on your toes. This whoever's soloing gets to be the solo, so they don't help you. So it's that fly. Let's just do it once going through so you can like feel it without. And then I want you to try, we're going to do it once just you and me with the piano just to like make you feel more solid in that key. And then I'm going to have you try without the bossa feel, get comfy with it as like a standard swing first. And then we'll switch it back to bossa because that's a different feel to it. So you're just layering like a new key and a new rhythmic feel and like all these
Yeah.
things all at once. So it's like too much all at once. So let's try. We're just going to do
And we
fly.
don't
We're
even
going to sing
have
with
to
piano.
do bossa. I mean, I can.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, it's just
part of me is
fun. Like
like,
the
maybe
instrumentalists
I
will
should.
like it. Yeah.
Mm,
They'll have fun with
sorry.
it, but if it's gonna throw you off, it's not worth doing it. So let's try. We're just gonna do it with the
Maybe
piano
I
once
shouldn't do
first.
it this Monday. I'm like, I feel like I'm about to cry. Ugh, I'm so sorry.
Okay, I want you to take the pressure off. This is a jam session night. It's supposed to be fun, and there are no expectations. So take a second, breathe. If you have to put it off, it's not a big deal. The jam session is there every single Monday. Every Monday. You can also go and do one song instead of two. So, no big deal. All right, so we are going to do this with the piano so that you feel a little more comfy. Um, I mean, another thing is, like, I could go and just play so that I can, like, throw you a bone every now and then, make sure you stay on track. And they'll be like, Vandy, you're not playing right for jazz. And I'll be like, I'm playing right as an accompanist, so back off.
No, I think Bob is gonna come and do
Oh,
it.
good.
He
So he'll
wants
do it.
to
Yeah.
come and do it,
Bob is
and I'm
not going
like,
to let you fall off the rails. He's going to help you. So he is absolutely going to make sure you can hear the transitions. He's going to make sure that you can hear the melody if you need it. He's not going to let you like face plant in front of everyone. There's no way.
I think I'm just doing a lot of like a lot of guessing and like
Yeah.
hoping it's good, and then like some
Yeah.
like I don't want to say like clarification, but like some kind of like, yeah, you've got it right kind of thing.
Mm. Yeah.
Because I mean, up until just a couple weeks ago, we were just doing all these different other songs, and so, and I know
Yeah.
and I don't want to, like he's not a voice teacher, so like I'm not gonna ask him to do that. That's why I was like, I'm gonna go with Vandy, and we'll go from there. But but yeah, I don't know. I feel like I'm a little nervous because
Yeah.
even aside from that, like I got like the singing is good. I feel good with the lyrics and the singing. The key part of the singing now, I'm like so thrown.
I think you're in your
And
head about that.
oh, totally, totally.
Yeah.
But I'm also kind of nervous because like the couple nights that I went up there and I watched people singing with it, it was really only David Ponce that I noticed actually did what Bob has been talking about, where
Oh.
like because he was one of the only singers. There was only a couple other people that were
Yeah.
just like, I'm gonna sing a Christmas song. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm still a little like, well, I'm not even a little. I'm very unsteady on,
Yeah.
about like when I'm done with my little singing and I need to like have let them do their solos and stuff. When do I come back in? Because I've got
Yeah.
it. When he does
Right.
a little break, I can like I can pick it up and I can be like, okay, I think I got it, and I'd
Yeah.
say like 70% of the time I'm right when him and I
Yeah.
are doing it. But when there's like him and then two or three other people
Yeah.
I think I might get lost.
So,
So
one
I'm
nice thing
struggling with that too.
is that the other people are going to solo before Bob. He's going to go last of the solos always. So they might
Oh,
not take a solo at all, but if they
oh,
do, they're going to go before Bob and he's going to be last. So he can give you that lead in and you focus on Bob and he's going to like nod
oh.
to you and be like, "Now you come in." So also, if you just keep singing the lyrics in your
Okay.
head, you are going to keep track of where they are in the song because it just keeps looping. So if you just keep the words in your head, you know where you are, and you watch
Yeah.
Bob, you'll be able to kind of hear the song in your head no matter what other people are doing. Ignore them. Just keep hearing the lyrics in your
Okay.
head. Watch Bob, and he's going to play in such a way that you can hear the transition, but he's also going to nod to you and be like, "Okay, now you're up." So he's going to give you a head nod to tell you, or he'll like shake his head and be like, "Nope, not here." So you watch Bob. Bob is your lifeline all the time. For the
Okay.
introduction,
I
he's
don't know
going to
why
give
I thought he
you.
would go first. So
Nope, no. It's because you
okay.
don't really have like other instrumentals to practice with. So he's going to give you a 4 bar, 8 bar, 8 bar probably lead in. You're going to hear that 5 to 1. So it's going to be a really strong indication of like, here's the 5 chord to the 1. So it makes me feel like, duh, I can feel that 1 chord really strongly. You feel the key really well. Um, so then he's going to make sure you get the lead in. Then when they solo, even if like I'm really comfortable and look around, I look at them and they'll be like, "Yeah, I'll take one." And they just like pass it around, right? You don't have to worry about what anyone else does. You just in your head keep singing the song, stay on track. You don't even have to like look to them. It doesn't matter. You need to look at Bob. So once you're more comfy, you can like, enjoy what they're doing. But for this time, you're just going to keep singing the song in your head. You're going to look at Bob and he's going to nod to you and tell you where to come in. Absolute worst case scenario would be that you like sing the words to the first half and they're on the second half or something. It's not a big deal. When you hear it ending, you just do an end. So, like, that would be the absolute worst case
Mhm.
scenario.
Mhm.
It's really not the end of the world. No one cares. It's jazz, so they know, and they know you haven't rehearsed it with the band too. So that would be the absolute worst case scenario
Yeah.
is you sing lyrics from a different part of the song and then you feel like, oh, we're ending now. And so like if you came in like halfway through, they're playing like halfway through the song and you sing the lyrics from the beginning would be like worst case scenario. I've done that multiple times at the Jazz Kitchen. It's not a big deal. They don't care. But the way you prevent that is you keep singing the song in your head so you know exactly where they're at.
Okay.
You watch Bob, he's going to nod to signal you to come in. You only come in halfway through if it's a ballad anyway. So you wouldn't do it on Fly Me to the Moon. So you're going to watch Bob. He's going to nod to you to tell you to come in. You're just going to keep singing the song in your head so you know exactly where they are. And then it's going to be fine. So you just, whatever they do, let them do their thing. You watch Bob, you smile, you keep singing the song in your head, you're bopping along to the music, keeping in time, and then he's going to be like, and now. And then you're just going to start singing when he nods to you, and you're like, and we're here, yeah? And the thing is, even if
Okay.
you don't do a whole lot of ad libbing or whatnot, it's fine. They're going to be happy that they have a new person who loves jazz who's taking part in the joy of the night. It'll be great.
Yeah. Okay. I feel overall, I feel like 80% good about everything. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I can just swing it.
Yeah.
But
Bob's going
yeah,
to give you a good
a
lead in.
couple of things.
He's not going to leave you hanging. He's not going to let you feel dumb.
Oh yeah.
If you miss your entrance, I've done that at the Jazz Kitchen too. Again, they're not going to care. They're just going to loop back. So they're just going to keep playing the intro loop, like, or they'll just like stay on the chord and like vamp on the chord. And then when you come in, they're going to start at the top. So ideally, it's like the 4 bars or the 8 bars, and you come in strong and you go. If you miss it, whatever, they're going to vamp and then you're going to come in and then they're going to follow the chord chart and it's just going to stay in that structure. So I think part
Okay.
of doing jazz is learning to let go, and you're not used to that. You're used to having an arrangement that it's like, this is how it's set, it's always done this way. With jazz, it never happens the same twice. And so embracing the unknown and uncertainty is very uncomfortable when you're used to having a plan. So that's part
Yeah.
of what's a little tricky. So so I think you're gonna do fine. You're trying to practice with iReal without an intro. That's like you have to have perfect pitch to feel secure with that. That's so hard. And then the ending is funky because iReal doesn't do like a fun ending. They just kind of like do the chart and end. They
Okay.
don't have the
Yeah.
ability to like do the
And I
loops and
feel
things.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really
I
hard to
still feel
practice
good
on your own.
whenever, whenever I'm, yeah, when I'm, when Bob is playing and I'm at his house and we're doing a thing, and
Yeah.
I always feel great with the endings there. I can,
Yeah.
it's like he knows when I'm about to start the ending, and he will then do his
Yeah.
all that stuff, and so I'm like, I feel good with that.
If you
So
just
I'm
trust
guessing if
Bob and stay
he's not
focused,
gonna
it'll be
follow
fine.
that,
Hmm.
just trust Bob.
Yeah, Bob is your lifeline. For real though.
Yeah,
I would
yeah,
trust Bob. I mostly would
yeah.
trust Kevin. Sometimes Kevin gets
Oh, he's
bored.
the one that like plays the
Yeah.
piano like this.
Yeah. He's a crazy piano man. He's amazing. He's great.
So
He's
good.
hilarious.
He's so
Oh, yeah.
good.
He's so good. Yeah.
That we went and I asked Bob about it. I was like, who's the guy? And I was like, I'm sure you'll know what I'm talking about, but who's the guy who plays like this? And
Yeah.
he's like, oh, it's Kevin. And I was
Yeah.
like, he's amazing because when
Oh,
he
he's
really
great.
like, did his solo,
Yeah.
it was just yeah.
Yeah.
So
So I would say though,
art.
Kevin is not going to do anything crazy if he doesn't know you. Occasionally he gets bored and he'll do flashy fun stuff that might throw off a new person, but he knows that his job is to like help you. So if you're new, he's not going to go do crazy fun stuff that'll throw you off because he's like, all right, I have to like, take care of my singer. That's just the way it is. And like they know you can't just push down these valves and blow and the sound comes out, or push down a key and the sound comes out. You have to be able to hear it. So if you can't hear it, the pianist is not doing their job. If you can't hear it, the bass is not doing their job. So the piano is what's going to tie it all together. That's your lifeline. You stay focused on Bob and he's going to take care of you. And no matter what happens, you stay with Bob, and everything else, it doesn't matter. So that's the key. We're going to try the Fly Me to the Moon in G. We're going to do an intro. I'm going to do, let's do an 8-bar intro, because most commonly they'll do an 8-bar. And you're just going to try to listen, and I'm going to help like cue you. So we're going to hear 3. then you just the app doesn't know how to do the ending. The endings are live and
Yeah,
improvisatory. So
yeah, yeah,
you're
yeah.
like, um,
And I love that. And
be
I feel good
true,
about
in
that.
other words, in other words, in other words, I love you. So what you do is you just stop it, stop the app, and then you just keep going. So when it's playing
Okay.
and you hear, sorry, I'm telling it to go back to where it was. So I'm on. In other words, in other words, in other words, I love you. So you're going to stop it when you get to where you want to end. Yeah? So
Okay.
then, so I think the G is going to be fine. If you need it, what you do is you lean over to Bob and you say, Bob, can you give me a G? Before he starts the intro. You're going to have him give you your starting note. All right, so your starting note on Fly Me to the Moon is going to be G. You're in the key of G. It also is a G starting pitch. So if it makes you feel more secure, have him before he starts the intro give you your note so you hear it and it's in your head before you even start. I have literally like turned to people if they did the intro and I missed it and been like, trumpet player, will you give me a C? And then they're like, oh, okay. And they play it. And I'm like, thank you. Okay, do the intro again. And it's like, once I have my pitch, then I'm like, you can do whatever you want. And I'll come in on the counts. And then I know what to do. But if they're being too adventurous and crazy, then I'm like, guys, I can't hear my part in that. So I literally have been like, give me this note. And then I'm like, all right, back on track. Let's go. Right? If you need that, no big deal. You just turn to Bob and say, Bob, can you give me a G? And he'll give you the pitch. And then you're like, cool. And then you give him the tempo. You're going to count him in. So you just do like, Bob's probably going to do that for you this time. The counting. Normally it would be your job to be like, okay, the tempo's about and they'll come in like 5, 6, 7, 8. Like you'll give them a 5, 6, 7, 8. So you'll be like, and you're like, okay, ready? 5, 6, 7, 8. And then they're gonna come in with that tempo, do the intro, and you'll come in. Probably Bob's gonna help you with that this time. But just before he even starts that, be like, can you give me a G?
Yeah.
No big deal. And then you have your note in your head. Fly. So let's look at the other one, Dream a Little Dream. You're doing that one in B flat.
Thanks. Yeah, let me make sure.
So we're going to figure out what your
B
starting
flat.
note is for this one as well. Ooh, I'm going to make it faster. So it's going to be stars shining brighter. Yeah, this is way too slow. This is so slow. Ooh, this was like the default. I'm like, no.
Yeah, I know. It's so slow.
Yeah. So you're actually starting on the B flat. So it's in B flat and you actually start on the 1. That's part of why these are great songs to start with because, well, one, other people probably aren't going to do them, but also you start on the main note of the key, which is great. So you just, before he starts, be like, hey, we're starting with Fly Me to the Moon. Bob, can you give me a G? And he'll play a G. If he plays a chord, be like, just the G. And he'll play the G and you'll be like, cool, got it. And then you can be like, all right, so the tempo's about 1, a 2, a 5, 6, 7, 8. And you're like 5, 6, 7, 8. And like, if you want to do that, you can, or you just let Bob do the lead in. You're going to listen. You're going to watch him. He's going to make sure you can hear it. And also that he'll nod to you to start. And then you're just going to watch him while people solo. You keep singing it in your head because they're just going to stay on track. And then he'll nod to you and you come in again. When you get to the endings, it's live. You're not going to have that issue of it doing the wrong chord progression. It's going to be right where you need it. So, Dream a Little Dream. has a jazz ballad swing. That's probably the issue. It's probably more like an upswing.
Uh, yeah. Let me see.
Not that fast. Oof. My
I
goodness.
know.
Yeah, you have
I
to
was
pick the
playing around with
right.
it. I tried to do one, and it was like it went all the way up to like 360 something, and I was like, geez.
I'm gonna try the
I looked.
medium
Oh, you said
upswing.
up tempo swing.
I like
Medium
the
up.
jazz medium upswing. I like that one. I think that
Okay.
one works nicely. So if you have a lead in, if we do like a little 8 bar intro, you're gonna hear. So that's the count in. You're gonna count the 8, 5, 6, 7, 8. Stars shining bright above Say nighty night right? So then it's that goes that. Yeah. So I kind of like the jazz medium
Yeah.
upswing. I think that's a good setting. So you have to, when you're practicing, make sure you've got the setting you want. And then when you're directing them, they actually have a couple options for the medium upswing too. So they have a couple different feels. I actually feel like the second one's easier to follow as a vocalist. So it's the medium upswing
Uh,
two.
Two.
Um,
Okay.
so make sure that whatever you're practicing with, you practice with that same rhythmic feel each time in the right key. Um, and what I would say is tell Bob, just like give me the note, before he starts the intro. And then if you want to be um, like, you could write down your tempos if you want, like 160 beats per minute or like metronome marking mm 160. If you tell them the beat, like, so it's 160 for that, Fly Me to the Moon, we were doing 140. So if you tell them that, they have an idea automatically of like how fast it is because it's beats per minute. So like a second is 60 beats per minute, right? So like I had a band where
Yeah.
one of the ladies in it was a nurse and she like was so spot on with tempos. I could be like 100 beats per minute and she'd be like, got it. Like she was so on it. She could like tell us and she was like so good at identifying. So the musicians have
I
an
just wrote that
idea of
down.
how fast that is. So if you tell them like jazz bossa nova 140, or if you say to them like medium upswing about 160, then they're going to know what that means and they're going to play it accordingly.
Okay.
So if you communicate
That's
well
good.
going
Yeah.
in, it's really helpful. And then again, it's really, really helpful that the last chord you hear in both of these songs in your intro is going to be the one chord, and you start on the one note of the scale of that key. So both of them, if you're in B flat, you're singing a B flat. If you're singing in G, you're singing a G. That's your first note. So if you like turn to Bob and you say like before you guys go up, hey, before you start the intro, can you just give me a G or give me a B flat for the song? Like, just give me the note,
Yeah.
and he'll
I
be
usually
happy to
do
do that.
that whenever
Yeah,
I'm working with the pianist or
yeah,
the accompanist like during like auditions and stuff. And so
yeah.
that's super super helpful. So I'll do that.
Right, because that's what
I'll
you
play
kind of have
around.
practiced and have in your mind already.
Yeah.
And then I would check in with
Yeah,
Bob
cuz I
before you
mean
go up.
yeah.
Be like, are you going to do an 8 bar intro or are you going to do a 4 bar intro? So you know how many measures to be counting. So if it's like 1, 2, 3,
Okay.
4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, and then you start, right? Or is it an 8 bar, which then you count the 8 bars? And you can even, I literally have counted on my fingers before on stage. I've been like, okay, 1, like, because I wanted to be sure I came in right. If I was like jamming with people,
Yeah.
you do what you got to do to stay on track because it's all about staying within the structure. So just before you go up, check in with Bob. Be like, hey, can you give me my starting pitch, which is just the G or the B flat? depending on the song you're in.
Yeah.
And then before you start the intro, just like remind him, sing a little bit of the song to him so he gets a feel for how it's going to go and like tell him, I've been practicing at these tempos. And then check with him, like, is it going to be an 8 bar intro? Is it going to be a 4 bar intro? Know that before you go up. And then you, as long as you
Yeah.
watch Bob,
We're getting
stay
together
focused on him,
tomorrow.
you're going to be fine. Yeah.
Okay.
And if you talk
Yeah.
him through these things before then and let him know, he's going to be so comfy and be like, cool, got it. Piece of cake, right? But I think
Yeah.
it might make you feel better too, like before you go up, like at the jazz kitchen, just re-talk through everything again before you go up. And then usually it'll be like the house band plays a little while first. They'll do like a half hour to an hour first. And then they're going to take a teeny break and then they'll have other people come play with them. So usually they'll have like, they'll play a little bit first. So you can, they're getting warmed up and like having some fun. You can be a little late or whatever. And then you'll go after that. So usually,
Yeah.
and then, you know, you can check in with whoever's like running the night and be like, do you know about like time frame when I'll be going up just so I can like, you know, be in the headspace for it around that time,
Right. Yeah. So, yeah.
and they'll probably be able to give you like, oh yeah,
Once
around
we
8 or whatever.
got there. Yeah. Oh, that's good. Because I was gonna ask him like when he wanted me to show up, and I'll probably get there early anyway.
Yeah.
But I each time that we went, we were there like 7 or a little after that, and
Yeah.
that's when so I kind of saw a little bit of that where they then took a break,
Yeah.
and then there was just the band, and
Yeah.
then so but it feels pretty good. Other than that, I'm so glad we went through all this today because this is so
Yeah.
helpful.
Yeah. It's
So,
it's
so,
just
so,
like
so helpful. Thank
other
you.
kinds of instrumentalists, vocalists are instrumentalists, but we are different. And I can say that as someone who plays other instruments as well. It is not the same as playing other
Oh,
instruments. It is so much more reliant on the ear. And if you don't have perfect pitch, which is rare, and from people I've talked to, it's annoying also to have perfect pitch. Um, but I have very good relative pitch. And I had a few professors who were like, I think you might have perfect pitch. And I was like, I don't want it. We're not going there. So,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's so heavily reliant upon your ear. I can play trumpet, I can play ukulele, I can play piano and not have to heavily rely on my ear like I have to
Cool.
for singing, right? So,
I
if
didn't know that about
you
you. That's cool.
yeah, I did a whole bunch of brass instruments growing up. I don't really play them anymore, but I surprised myself a few years back with the symphony. Conrad was playing a flugelhorn and I was like, "Ooh, can I try it?" And he was like, "Do you know how?" And I was like,
Ah.
"Kinda, yeah." I was like, "It's just like trumpet, right?" Like, okay. And I just like whipped out a scale and I was like, "Whoa, I haven't done that in like a decade." And he was like, "Wow, that was really impressive." And I was like, "This is beautiful. I love it. Thank you." But yeah, I got to play a flugelhorn, which was really fun. So I was like, "Oh, I've never even seen one." So yeah, it was very cool that he let me
Yeah.
try. He was like, "Okay." He was
I
very
think
suspicious. He was like, "I don't know if
no,
you
I
know what
think
to do with this."
my Gracie, she knows how to play the trumpet. She played for
Oh,
years,
nice.
and
Oh, that's
she was
great.
actually in like her school jazz band, right? But
Nice.
I've tried to tell her like, oh, would you get into it if like because I'm
You
gonna be
two
in the
together.
scene. Would you maybe think about it like maybe in a year or so, like? And she told me she's got such a logical brain, right? She's like, I love playing, but I cannot improvise at all. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I just can't. It's so hard because our brains
Well,
are so
then
different.
actually playing in like a big band setting might be better because it's very similar, but it's more structured. And she could just be like, I don't solo. So she can just be part of the big band and like play the
Yeah,
arrangement they have.
yeah,
And then still and honestly, I think you would
yeah.
be more comfortable in that setting. So if we talk to like
It's just
um
so cool.
yeah, like I know a few people that have big bands in the area. So like if we got you guys hooked up with them, you know, like Edward's Laddie, or he's kind of a really grumpy old man, but there's another that I know he needs singers. But you just
Oh,
stay
that's
positive
great.
even though he's a grumpy old man and it's fine.
I honestly, our house,
I mean Edward's not a grumpy old man, but the
we
other one I was
love
thinking of
nothing
hooking you up with.
more. and grumpy old men. Like literally,
Yeah, so
Grace's
like
best friend, his nickname is Grumpy, and he's like 80 years old. And
perfect.
our like, yeah, we it's just I don't know why, but we have a lot of very old grumpy men friends. So
Yeah.
I don't know why, but
I I
um,
I hang out with a lot of grumpy old men too. I wish you had met Clifford. He was the guy who started the jam session at the Jazz Kitchen, and he was a trumpet player and such beautiful playing. He's unfortunately passed away now, but just like
oh,
beautiful, beautiful person playing, gorgeous. He like made it specifically to help young jazz artists to develop their skills and like just great person. But he was a
yeah.
trumpet player, so I wish you guys had gotten to meet him. But you'll meet a lot of grumpy old men in the jazz world. But yeah, it's fun.
That's okay. That's okay. I feel
I
like
think
I'm
they're
right there
grumpy
with
because they
you.
feel like their love of their art form is like, dwindling.
Yeah,
So help them keep it alive, and they'll be
they
less
usually
grumpy.
like. Right. No, 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 totally. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm really excited for it. I'm really also, I know this started like us chit chatting about this like last
Yeah,
year, but I'm so glad that this is like finally happening. I mean, I think it's like where it needs to be, you know.
yeah,
I like, I know that like, um, you know, even come like March and stuff, I want to like, you know, maybe pick it up and maybe go like maybe
yeah.
once a month or twice a month or something if
Right.
I
Yeah,
can. But I
yeah.
know I'm
I
gonna.
I like
Sorry.
the consistency and like keeping yourself accountable to that. I think is really useful and
Yeah.
helpful. Um, I had a year where I went basically like I committed. I was like, every Monday I'm going to go to the Jazz Kitchen, even if it was like for the end of it. Like if I couldn't get there till 9 or something, like I went
Oh,
every week for a
yeah.
full year. And it was like I challenged myself and I tried to like learn a new song for every week. And like it was, and I flopped
Oh.
quite a few times, but I grew a lot. So,
You know,
yeah, I like the
I've noticed.
consistency and keeping accountable to that.
I really I think I want to do that too. I don't know if I would do every single. I mean,
I
honestly,
know.
I'm hopeful for like the 2 to 3, but my
Yeah.
brain is like 1 to 2 for sure. But I think that
Yeah.
I was gonna say it just in like the last like 3 or so months, I've noticed like I've been able to so happily I've been able to put in so much time into my just my music life, and I'm so happy about that. And it's going to continue on because I have a really great job that allows me to do that. But
Yes.
um, I've noticed that I'm learning songs a lot quicker and easier now. I know, and I was
Yay!
like, I don't know. It used to take me weeks, and now I'm doing that Valentine's Day thing. I've actually got
Yeah.
two. I just haven't
I saw
like
your
put it
post.
out there, but I've got
Okay, yeah.
two events that weekend that
Oh,
I'm doing, and
nice.
so I've got like 4 or 5 other songs that I've basically already got down. So I'll work with you about that. I'll need some help here and there. Just so I'll let you know more business
Nice.
I'll send your way.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Sometimes when you
I
give
really think
yourself like
improvement.
expecting more of yourself, you'll rise to the challenge and be like, whoa, like, because you have to. Because it's like,
Yeah.
I have a show, I
Yeah.
have to learn it. And you'll just rise to the challenge. You'll be like, whoa, I didn't know I could do that.
Right.
You'll
Right.
surprise
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
So
I
that's
can't
pretty
wait to
cool.
do the other songs that eventually once I get a little bit more, used to the like the simple classics, I need to like get those down.
Yeah.
But like I was gonna do Why Don't You Do Right, and then
Oh,
what was
nice.
the other song? I don't even. The other. It was just another Ella song. But the
Yeah.
Why Don't You Do Right? Now I'm like, I really want to do it. He even said it was a classic too, so
Oh,
he
no,
was
it's
like,
great.
"You'll know it."
Yeah, that's a great one. I
But
also don't think like
but
if you stick
yeah,
with those like tried and true classic jazz standards, not a lot of other people bring those to the jam, but they're gonna be like really excited to do them. So I was kind of in the same boat like early on, especially being like just bringing in those like great vocalists in like the golden era of jazz, and then eventually
yes,
they'd be like, hey, you should look at this song. Like people would start giving me like requests or things they thought I should look at. um which was great. And then I, was challenged to learn new things too. So, yeah, I think starting with things that you just really love and that you're already familiar with and that you feel more comfortable with, do that. And then you'll get more used to how it
Yeah.
operates. You'll get more comfortable with the people there. Um, is Fred usually playing bass or has he been doing other gigs? Do you know? It's
I
okay if you
don't
don't
know the names of any of the other ones.
know.
I think I knew, and I
Is he a
can't
little
think of it
guy
on the top of my head. I knew the name
who
of,
looks like he's like 12,
huh?
even though is he a little guy who looks like he's like 12, even though he's probably like 50?
I think so,
Yeah,
actually.
that's
Maybe
Fred.
on the
He's
second
great.
night that we went.
If
The
you have
first
Fred and
night it was
Bob,
at
you cannot fail. They will not allow you to fail. They will hold you like a little baby bird and shelter you and guide you gently to where you need to go. So, if you
Okay,
have them,
yeah.
that team, you're going to be piece of cake. They'll take care of you.
I'm gonna record it all and I'll make a big post
Great.
about it and stuff.
Nice.
I'm like being very hush hush because
Yeah.
I already am in, like you saw, I
Yeah,
already
you don't
kind of
want
know
that pressure of, oh, a
my
bunch of
head.
people are here.
I
Yeah.
don't, yeah. No, I don't need that
Yeah.
anymore. And I also like, there's so many things that like as I'm growing as an artist that I'm like, I'm just not gonna. I don't need to tell everybody everything that's going on, because it
I'm
adds
kind of the
pressure.
same lately. Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Were you doing auditions recently? You just posted something. I liked it earlier.
Yeah.
You had like all these clips. What was that for?
Yeah. That was through my agents. It's for something in Kentucky. So
Oh, that's cool.
we'll
Good
see.
luck. I mean, break a
Yeah,
leg,
I'd have
but
to go to like the
Kentucky's
Lexington
awesome.
area. So
Oh
we'll
wow.
see. They had like multiple dates and I like half of them I couldn't do, but they were like they probably only need you like a day or two. So we'll see. We'll see what happens,
Yeah.
but if they need me for the other half of the dates, that would be fine. But some of the dates I was available for and some I wasn't. And I was like, I don't know if they'll pick me because they were like, we want someone like 30s to 50s and mother henish. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to fit this role, but we'll try it. Plus, most of it was more like
Understood.
ethnically minded casting. And I was like,
Ah,
I really don't think I'm going to get it, but I'm going to throw my hat in the ring. We'll see.
yes.
But yeah,
Yes.
I haven't been doing as much auditioning because I like have things that have been kind of like in the works for a while or things like with people I already know. So it's sort of like I've already paid my dues to get to work with them. And so I already have enough things going on that I'm not auditioning as much because I've got like 10 voiceover projects right now. I have like a two feature films definitely this year that I'm a lead in both, and I'm like, so I'm just
Wow.
like I'm not doing a lot of
Oh
auditioning right
yeah,
now.
girl.
So I'm just like, and if I do, I just like I'll share it as soon as it like is out in the world, but film
Right.
projects do
Yeah.
take a while because it's like my part gets finished and then they have to do all the like editing and piecing it together. So and then sometimes I just forget. Like last year, I don't know, I did this like commercial project for this gambling app. And like I forget because you're not allowed, like you sign an NDA, like you're not allowed to post about it until after it's already come out. And I'm like, I don't know when it comes out. Like, so, so yeah. If it's like commercial projects, usually I'm not allowed to post about them till later, and then I just forget that I did them.
But that's still awesome. That's awesome.
So
I
I'll be
love
like
it.
doing things, and I'm like, I can't really tell anyone I did it, but that's cool.
Yeah.
So, and
Uh,
voiceover, sometimes I don't even use my real name because if it's a project that's like got anything raunchy that I wouldn't want like my grandparents to see,
like
I use
a
a different name.
smutty. Oh
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, I use
Yeah.
my middle
Yeah.
name and one of the streets I grew up on as my voiceover
Oh, that's
name for
awesome.
like if I do like a smutty book or something, then I'm like, Grandma won't accidentally find this one and be scarred
Right.
for life, right?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. No,
But
that's
it's
good
funny
to know. I
because
know. I always, whenever,
oh no, it's
oh,
cool.
I was gonna say, whenever I was younger, I always thought about like, at what point do you take on a stage name, or do you say, hey, my
Yeah.
name is this now, And I don't think I would do it now, but when I was younger, or younger as in like 5 years ago, my brain, I was like, if I ever, have to like use a fake name. I would use Benny Jetson, like Benny and the
Yeah,
Jets, and like,
I like
and
it.
I was like,
I
I
came
love
up with a
it,
fake
but
name randomly because I have multiple friends who do burlesque and like the movie Burlesque with Christina Aguilera. I was like, if I had a burlesque name, I think I'd
I
be
love it.
Bambi Hoffman. And they were like, I could see that. They were like, you could like sing and have like the big feathers and like the sparkly corset. Like I don't know that I do like
Oh,
full
I
on
love
stripper because like
that.
some of it I'm like that's too much. But I could do like the old like Fosse and I don't know like or like a Follies girl, like golden age. Like if you did very like stylistic fun things, I could do more like golden era of
I love it.
Hollywood kind of burlesque, I think, and
Yes,
like
I
actually
love
sing with
it.
it and stuff. But some of it I've seen like
Mhm.
friends and I'm like, no, not for me. But if I could like sing,
I
like if
know.
I could
I'm
do like
like
the
my
Christina
whole. I'm like,
Aguilera, like
I
my
see
top
those.
hat and the feather gates opening, like the Christina Aguilera movie burlesque
Oh yeah,
vibes, I'm like I would do that and be Bambi Hoffman was
yeah. You
my name
finished
I
with
came up with.
clothes still on you.
Yes. Like make it sexy and
I've always
classy.
wanted to do
Yeah.
that too, but I don't think I have the courage.
Yeah, because
I
I
don't
mean I've
think.
had multiple
Mm-mm. I
roles where I
follow
was
so many. Mhm.
like a brothel girl or something where you're like in a corset top or something and you're like
Yeah.
kick lining. Like I've done roles where or like I was a circus act girl and I had like a corset top and like a little tutu and like bright colored tights. Like, so I've done things where I wore like, you know, risque things, but I still had clothes on. So,
Yeah.
so yeah, I'm like, I don't know about like the tassels on the titties thing. That's, I think, too much for me.
I know.
In
I mean, just
public.
like body image wise, I'm like,
I'm
I don't
not as
know,
confident
man.
as my
So
friends that do burlesque. Like, I'm like, good on you. Like, I applaud how much you love your body. And I'm like, that's great.
right.
I think it's my upbringing too. Like, I've worked really hard to be like, women can be free. But then at the same time, it's like an exercise in that whenever I do. Like, I'm just like, ooh. So I grew up in a very conservative, like Christian household, and like we were fully clothed head to toe
Oh
always.
yeah, yeah,
And like even clothes that were too tight, it was like you're not leaving the house in that. So I'm just like not comfortable. I'm okay with other people doing it, just me myself. I'm like I feel uncomfortable.
Oh no, for sure. Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
So
So no,
yeah,
I definitely resonate with some of that too. I'm yeah. I don't know if if I have the body confidence enough to like full on be out there,
yeah,
but like all of it up until that point, like yeah, but no.
yeah. I'm like if I could like come sing live for your burlesque troupe and you guys want to
Yeah.
dance with the tassels, that's fine. Like I will cheer you
Oh,
on.
I'm a really cool thing that I'm doing on the February 14th one.
Yeah.
She's gonna have me singing while there's like an aerialist doing
Oh,
things
that's so
like
fun.
from down from the ceiling and stuff. I'm so excited. She
Yeah.
was like, I really want to have I have this vision. I think your voice would fit it. Can you do this song too? And it's um my baby shot me down, and
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm
Da
so
da da
involved
da
with
da
it.
da. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Oh, that'll
I'm
be
so
fun.
involved with it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because
Yeah.
they can
So
choreograph like some pretty cool stuff with that. That's awesome. I love it. How
yeah,
fun.
bang bang. I'm like, I don't know if I'm like, can I watch it a few times or like, because I'm sure that I have to be like,
Yeah. Can I watch
she's
you
just gonna be
rehearse
doing it
first?
behind
Yeah.
me. So
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah, so
I've
it's really
performed with
cool.
aerialists before
So
and it
excited.
is sad when you're like, I don't get to see it.
Right, right. So we'll see,
Because
but
you're like
yeah. So
singing
with
this
those,
direction and they're over there like up in the air and you're just like, and I have to do my choreography over here and like
mhm. Yeah, I can't be
so
actually looking at you while I'm singing.
yeah.
So, but I'm
Or you're
excited for
like
that.
singing
So.
from backstage behind a screen or something and they're doing cool stuff out there. I sang for like
Oh.
Harry Potter concerts
Mm.
where the symphony like does the music live and I'm like, I didn't get to actually watch the movie. We could see nothing. We just sang.
Oh.
So, which is fun,
Oh, I
but
didn't even think about that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you
Oh,
just watch the
dang.
conductor, you do your thing. So it's interesting because like as a kid you watch stuff and you're like, oh, it's so magical to be part of that, and then you're part of it and you're like,
I just got to stay in my lane. Like, you don't really get to like experience it all together. And you're like, what does it actually look like? I have no
Yeah,
idea.
yeah.
And I just stay focused and I do my dancing and my singing and my acting and my costume changes and my things. And so it
Right.
is kind of, it's a different experience, I think, than most people expect it to be. And then they're like, oh, this is, so I think a lot of people do it and then they're like, oh, this is not what I anticipated. And then some people go, oh, this isn't really what I want. And they're like, I just like to watch it,
Yeah.
and they
I
learn that. But
remember, yeah, the first time I was like a teenager, and I remember the first time being like, oh, do I just like watching it or do I actually like being in it? And then I was like, both. But
yeah,
but
yeah,
I
you were
remember
like,
like
I
getting
love
to those like
it all.
it's different.
yeah.
It definitely breaks the
Yeah.
the vision of it all, the
Yeah.
whole magical bit of it. Yeah. So
hmm
how interesting.
Yeah, I think
But
I'm
I'll
more
let you
like
know
I like
when
actually
oh,
doing it more than watching it. I think now because I've done it so much, my brain's just like picking it apart and like, okay, they did that and oh, all right, so that was cool choreography and like, oh, how'd they do that weight switch there? And oh, that was an interesting acting choice. Like Meryl Streep, I could watch
right.
all
You're
day
like
because I'm
taking
like, I
notes.
would
It
never
almost
have thought
becomes
to
like
do it
homework.
that way. Like, and I'm like studying
Yeah.
her, like, oh, that was an interesting directing choice, or ooh, really good lighting there.
Hmm.
So I'm like picking it apart in my brain. So I feel like at this point I like being in it more. But I still can enjoy, but it's like my brain just goes into work mode and it's like analyzing everything, but it's
Yeah,
still
I
fun.
think that kind of like dips into something I mentioned a while back in one of our lessons where I some of these like really emotional songs, like musical theater songs, I have to like really work on not allowing my emotions to like tip over into my singing,
Yeah.
because when I'm watching it and I'm singing it for my own, I'm like, oh, I can start crying. But when I'm singing it, I'm like, okay, I actually
Yeah.
have to like
Yeah.
be that person. But so I love the both of it, but like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
there's so many that I'm
And
just like a baby and I'm
that's a
sobbing, and then
process. I think in the practice you work through that. Like you work
yeah,
through the
you like feel it in
emotions, you
your
get it
throat, and
out.
then
So like I definitely like I think back to undergrad and like some of the acting techniques and things and I would like be sobbing where I couldn't sing the song and it would be like I accessed it too much, and they'd be like okay, And then the next week I'd do better. But it's like you have to tap into those emotions and practice it enough that it's
yeah,
like you can get it to where it's like you know what that feels like and now I can communicate it. I'm not just like stuck in my emotions with it, but I can send it out to them too. And like
oh,
how
I
is
love
it being
that.
communicated? So I think that working through those emotions is a really important part of the process. And
Right.
then if you can like break through to the other side where you've like dealt with and felt those things and allowed yourself to go there and then you can figure out now how do I not let myself like submerge myself in the pool but express those things to my audience now because
You
there are
should
some things that are like heartbreaking like
yeah.
I did Simple from 9. That's like so shattering. I also did the Another Suitcase, Another Hall, totally different character in 9, but like both are very like emotional. And like when I tapped into those things, I was like, I just want to cry for both of them.
You
like
should.
even thinking
I was
about it.
gonna say, do make a like one of those Instagram posts that you do. I love it too when I see those that are so informational. But I love the way that you said that. How you said not to get stuck in the emotion, but to communicate the emotion. And
Yeah.
it's gonna stick in my brain. So thank
Oh
you.
yeah, I
That's
could
just, I love that.
an idea. I get a lot of my
Yeah,
ideas for the posts like from lessons. It's like I work on something with a
yeah.
student and I'm like, I'm going to make a post about that. so,
Yeah.
good
No, because
suggestion.
that's something that a lot of people, when they first start out,
Yeah.
it really, they want to put it all out there, but
Right.
you have to
Mm.
separate yourself, or you have to, like, take in all of those choices and emotions that you're making in your body and not, obviously like
Yeah.
blubber on stage. But Anyway, I just
Well,
loved it when
I
he
also
said that,
think
so
too,
I'm gonna
like
keep that
method
music.
acting too. I definitely think it has its place, and like for film, you need it because if you're not actually feeling it, the camera picks up on that. Like you have to be
Oh,
communicating it with your eyes. But on stage, it's a little bit different. You can do more of that like more like European approach, like the British approach, which is like I do this stance and it communicates this. I do this facial expression, it communicates this. I do this gesture, I
yeah,
communicate that. Um, and so like it's more like disciplined actions. And so I feel like method acting is so useful for figuring out how to express those things. And then if you go like, what does a person look like when they're angry? What do they look like when they're sad? And like old school Hollywood, they had like picture cards and they would have them practice making those facial expressions. So they would say like get in front of a mirror in front of the camera and practice these facial expressions
oh wow,
because like if you think of shows like Lie to Me with like micro expressions and things, it's universal. You do this facial expression and people read it as this, right? So I find that like tapping into the method acting, it helps you to really get into that character. But then if you like are too much in that, it can be paralyzing and like crippling. And if you feel too
yeah,
much, it's like I had a teacher say to me in undergrad, they were like, well, you can't just stand there like a bar of soap. You got to do something. It was like, okay. But it was like, I was feeling it, but I was feeling it
yeah,
so much that I no longer could really be showing it anymore. And so getting to
yeah,
where like you understand what your character is supposed to be feeling and communicating and doing, but then getting to where you're like, but now how do I make sure I tell that story and I like effectively communicate it? So it's like a balance. And I tend to be more a fan of instead of like full on Stanislavski, because Meisner talks about how it can be kind of like psychologically unhealthy basically and it can and Stanislavski even says later on in his career that he's like I notice it doesn't work for all of my students. Some of them get like emotionally trapped if they do too much method acting. So I prefer to not go like full on Stanislavski because I just feel like it's unhealthy for me to be like, let me go back to like childhood traumatic moments and bring that into my acting all the time and stuff. And instead to do more like hypotheticals, like if this imaginary circumstance that has never actually happened to me, so I'm not traumatized by it, did happen, let's
yeah,
be imaginative and pretend like what would I do in that situation.
yeah,
So it's like you can be authentic without traumatizing yourself. That's pretty important too. I think as
yeah,
a performer
yeah,
because you can get just like bogged down and stuff to where it's like emotionally devastating. We don't have to do that to ourselves.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So I'm like Heath Ledger, right?
Mm,
We don't want to be like that. We don't want to go out that way. So where you're like
no,
crazy
no,
from your
that's good.
character and can't sleep and then you take too many sleeping pills and then like die. So I think
Yeah,
is
that's
what
not
happened
good.
to him. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, he did great playing the Joker, but then he like went crazy because he did
yeah.
like pure method acting. So yeah. So being able to like separate a little bit. But I do think being able to feel stuff is important.
Oh, I
But
heard
then
that. Yeah.
like have
Okay.
like a protective buffer and then send it out to
Oh,
the audience
yeah.
so you don't hold it inside of you. So yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm
Yeah.
gonna sign off now because we had a lovely
Okay.
chit chat post lesson. But I think we got the goals. You've got your keys. We know how to approach all this. You are seeing Bob tomorrow, so I'm excited to see how the videos go. And if you've got Bob, you're honestly like you're golden. You can do no wrong with
I
Bob
feel
on your
great
side.
about it.
Yeah.
So, yep. Well, I'll let you know how it goes. So thank you
Yeah.
so much.
I can honestly say I've never gotten lost with Bob and with Fred. Like they always keep me right where I need to be. Like I always hear what I need to hear with them. So if you have
Okay.
either of them or both of them, like piece of cake. You got this.
Okay. Okay. I feel a lot better. So thank
Good.
Thank you so
Awesome.
much. Really.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And if you're
Okay,
still
I'll
like
let you go then.
confused
Okay.
after meeting with Bob tomorrow, you can like text me or something and be like, "Hey, clarification on this," or "I struggle with that," like, and I can give you pointers or whatever. But I'm pretty sure you'll see Bob tomorrow and you'll be like, Psh, "I feel so much better now."
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I think
Yeah.
it'll be good. So,
Good.
okay.
Awesome. All right.
Well,
Well,
I'll let you
have
go
a
then.
great weekend. Let me know how it goes with Bob tomorrow and break a leg. All
Okay. Thank you.
right.
Have a
Bye,
good
Jess.
night.
You too.